Hello, I'm Barry Mackay, and welcome to Learning English in Sydney with Active Voice. Hello, I'm Barry Mackay, and today I'm at Tamarama Beach with two surf lifesavers, Danny and Davin. First of all, what is surf lifesaving and what does a surf lifesaver do?
We are trying to keep people safe at the beach. So there's various things that can go wrong at the beach. There's first aid things, there's getting stuck in rips, and our job is to educate the public on how to swim safely at a beach, and if something goes wrong, we're there to help out.
What qualities do you need to be a lifesaver?
I think one of the main qualities would be being able to read a situation and organise the possible outcomes of the situation. In surf lifesaving, it throws up many possibilities. People being taken out in a rip, and people even having fights on the beach. So being able to manage the situation is quite a good quality to have.
Can you tell me what a rip is?
A rip can be quite a dangerous thing if you don't know how to read them. So a huge volume of water comes in the break zone where all the waves are crashing, and it's got to go somewhere. So it finds the easiest way to escape, and it'll find the deep sections on either side of a sandbank, and it will all escape by that means.
What happens if you see someone in trouble out in the water?
They'll generally, hopefully, wave their arms around, or if they're looking in distress, we will flag the patrol and the patrol captain, and we'll organise a rescue by means of a floating tube or someone going out on a rescue board, or even the IRB, the inflatable boat, will help them out.
How many people would go out to save a person in distress?
Probably just one if they're on a board. If they swim out to them, they might need assistance of a board or a boat from there.
What training do you go through and how tough is it?
There's a 12-week training program. It's quite tough. It tests your limits. Basically, there's a water component and also a theory component. They are run simultaneously, and you learn things, as Danny alluded to before, in terms of tube rescue, board rescue, and also on-beach management such as first aid and spinal management.
Have you ever had to deal with any unusual or amusing or odd incidents?
I've actually had a man that was masturbating on the beach, which was quite odd, and we had to ask him to remove himself from the beach.
Were the police involved?
The police weren't called at this current situation, but if he had have continued to stay on the beach, then that would have been an option we would have taken.
How popular is Tamarama Beach?
It's quite a popular beach. It's mainly the locals that come down here, but on a summer's day when the temperature's above 30 degrees, the beach is quite packed. It's hard to find a spot of sand.
We don't have as many travellers probably as Bondi does. That's full of backpackers and people travelling, so we get more the local crowd.
Where does the beach get the nickname Tamarama from?
Obvious reasons. Got an answer?
I think it's just all the beautiful locals that come down and populate this beach.
Live on the eastern suburbs. Very glamorous bunch.
Tamarama is one of Sydney's more dangerous beaches for swimming. What safety advice would you offer anyone using the beach?
Tamarama is more often than not actually closed to swimmers. In other words, they don't have the flags up because it's often too dangerous. It's a very narrow beach, so it's bordered by some rock platforms and some pretty dangerous rips. So if the flags are up, certainly swim between the flags. If not, if you really need to go in for a cool off, you should ask the lifesavers as to where the most safe place would be to swim.
These surfers out here, they seem to be in an area that's dangerous. What would you say to them?
That's why some of the volunteer members down there are right up on the beach, right down on the water, looking at where they are and watching for someone in distress. But just stay very shallow, so up to your knees only. Otherwise you're at risk of being swept off your feet and out into a rip.
Do you know how many people have died here at the beach?
I don't know exact numbers. As far as when we've been on patrol, it's during the weekends. No one has lost their lives in over 100 years of our patrolling. However...
You're not 100 years old, are you?
We are over 100 years old.
You, personally?
No, I'm not 100 years old. I hope I don't look it. But I do know of one person, a bodyboarder that got caught in the rocks behind us on a big day. It was a big swell and he perished, unfortunately.
How often is there an emergency here at the beach?
Most patrols would have some kind of rescue. It can be anything from just someone going to the beginnings of a rip or someone in quite bad distress. And quite often there's some spinal incidents where someone might be body surfing and hurt their neck, and then an ambulance is obviously called straight away.
Okay. Once a week or more often than that? Less often than that?
I'd say on average once a week.
Yeah.
It is a very dangerous beach, and like Danny said, it's closed most of the time. Just yesterday we had an incident with our rescue boat, which one of the crew person, which sits at the front of the boat, actually broke his ankle. So it's always a problem, and the surf is a bit hard to read sometimes. So,
do the emergencies ever affect you personally?
Personally, I haven't had one that's been too traumatic that I've been around. I don't know if you have been more affected?
I would say in any times when I've rescued people, that do affect me positively. It's great to help someone. It's great to pull them out of the water, especially in a near-death experience.
Danny, how usual is it to have women lifesavers at Sydney beaches?
Very usual these days. I can't remember the year that women were started to become members of Tamarama Surf Lifesaving Club, but initially it was just men. But these days in my training group it was about 50-50, female to male. So in the club there'd be a little bit of dominance of the male, I think, in terms of numbers, but pretty usual these days.
Isn't lifesaving a fairly blokey sort of occupation though?
No. No. If there's a tricky situation that a female might not be strong enough on a board or whatever, we're still good eyes to help to spot someone in distress and get one of the guys out to go and save them if we're not feeling confident.
What challenges does a female lifesaver face?
I guess the main one would be the physical strength of some of the situations needed. I know being a member of the IRB crew is quite a dangerous thing. It's a very physical task, and I think as a female you're a little bit more prone to injuries if you don't have the strength. That's about it.
Can I ask you what you enjoy most about the job?
I think it's the community involvement, meeting new people, having good times, and rescuing people it's such a fantastic thing to do.
Yeah, it's an environment that is beautiful to volunteer in. You can't get much better volunteer experience down here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you dislike most about the job?
Sometimes there's a few internal politics, which goes with running a volunteer club. But apart from that, you know, like Danny said, it's a great environment. It's a beautiful place to work.
Just a miserable rainy day is a little bit boring watching from the club. Otherwise, it's nice.
What advice do you have for anyone wanting to become a surf lifesaver?
Anyone can do it. As long as you can swim somewhat, then go for it. It's a great opportunity and you meet a good bunch of people.
Is lifesaving in Australia different to overseas?
I believe means of rescue is different. I know other countries use a lot more of the old rowboat style, and some even use the cord thing. But I haven't experienced a whole lot overseas. We
do have a quite dangerous coastline, so in terms of places like Italy where the seas aren't as quite as rough, we would have a more demanding life-saving system.
Yeah.
How long has the club been going here?
Since 1906.
Is it one of the first clubs in Australia?
Yes, it's one of the first clubs, along with Bondi Surf Life Saving, It's one of the first clubs to inhabit Sydney's shorelines.
Do you know which one was the first club in Sydney?
I believe Bondi Surf Bathing Club was the first one.
Okay, so almost over 100 years ago.
Exactly right.
What do you think of TV programs such as Bondi Rescue or Baywatch and how lifesavers are portrayed there? Is it as glamorous in real life as on television?
Well, seeing as though they condense the highlights into a half-an-hour package, I think there's more time spent on the beach observing people, having time telling people not to swim there and move them on. No, it's not as glamorous as it is portrayed, but it does not portray the friendship that you have with other surf lifesavers and the interactions you have with local members on the beach. Swim between the flags is always a good thing to learn. And if you're new coming to Australia, make sure you go and have a chat with the surf lifesavers, see where the best place to swim is, and enjoy your time.
Okay. Danny and Davin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Cool.